Any questions? Just that
I've seen in the beginning of the Agora walk that there actually were some architecture international contests that you have done in order to revitalize that space, because that is also a practice that we use in Cluj-Napoca for some of our projects, and perhaps we could exchange some experience on that matter, because we find that it gives more quality to the projects that we are doing.
That's wonderful. One more point that I would like to make, particularly in connection with the previous conversation so far, is that this is an example of a grassroots process. So it did start from a group of potential users, the independent artistic scene, and this gives the process integrity. However, the negative side is that it takes time. So I hope you noticed that it started long ago in 2014. So this is the bottom-up approach is fine. It really gives a lot of opportunities and a lot of support and a lot of credibility, but it takes a long time. So comparing the bottom-up and the top-down approach, they both have some positives and negatives. And this is a good example, but I mean, if we were really in desperate need of a new space, then I'm not sure very many communities can afford 6, 7, 8 years. It's a very long horizon.
Yes, it's a long process. Any other questions? I think that I have lost my chat somewhere. So if anyone has questions, you can just
Galina, maybe I will ask you a question. It seems that this project is well on track. It's developing slowly, but it's on track. Well, what are the issues that you will try to address within Agora? What do you expect from the project?
Well, mostly it's what once it's done, I mean, how it's going to function. So it's very nice to say we are creating a home for the independent scene, but who is the independent scene? So on the one hand side is how the users, the potential owners are going to co-own it, and more importantly, even how they're going to program it. So like really applying in practice what shared ownership means. And also, it really is a very central location in Sofia. It's in the middle of a park around the National Palace of Culture, blah, blah, blah. So the other thing is how this co-owned and co-programmed space is going to function. And the other is how it is going to actually be integrated into the city. Because how it's going to be integrated into a park surrounding. It's not quite usual to have such a center in a park, but very close to the main shopping area of the city as well. So this type of integration is also important, how to achieve. And these are the issues that this is the next step. So the first is how to develop it, how to collect the investments and so on and so forth, and how to actually make the functionality of the space. But now the question is, so now that we are nearly having the space, what's the next step? How we continue this co-design and co-sharing process from now on?
Thank you.
Thanks, Adelina.
Sorry. Can I make a final question? I mean, because,
yes, of course.
My question is connected to what just Matej asked. So currently, in your city, there is no regulatory framework that they can somehow track the work of the people using the space. So how is this? How do you have a framework, legal framework, or for the management of the space? How will the users will be communicating and co-designing the whole process of the use of the space with the municipality? Do you have something like this, like a cooperation strategy?
To some extent, if I got you right, I'm not really 100% sure, but to some extent, yes, it's going to be in a way co-owned by 3 types of owners. The city of Sofia, of course, is a major investor. it's also the national government as well, because they would like to chip in. That's relatively new. They are a new stakeholder as of last year. So the through the Ministry of Culture, they also want to invest some in it. So to use it as a pilot, to see how it operates, and if it's successful, it could be replicated elsewhere in Bulgaria. And the independent scene, which very much wants to also participate in every aspect, and really they want to manage it. So these are the three main players. Now, how they're going to split the responsibilities and between themselves, this is not really decided. And if you ask whether there are policies, of course there are policies. But the good thing is that we don't have to have policy about everything. I mean, it really depends on who comes from what country, but in our countries, we don't, in my country, and me personally, I don't believe that we should have over-regulation. Sometimes under-regulation is better, because being an innovative process, being an innovative thing in itself, it has to provide a space for making mistakes as well. So we are aware that we're trying something different and something new and something co-shared. So we should also build in some space that maybe not everything is successful. So there must be by design, there must be a space for policy sandboxing. Let's try what the policy implications of this are going to be if we do it this way. And then let's try a little bit different. And in my opinion, that's one of the biggest positive side effects of this project, because it's not just a building, it's not just a cooperative of independent artists working together, it's also going to have policy implications if knowledge is captured and shared wisely. I hope this responds to your question.
Thank you for the answer.
Thanks. Also, she answered to Serene partly. Serene, or do you have some?
Yes, it is. It is clear for me too, and I congratulate you for the objectives.
Yes.
I was gonna ask if you are thinking of involving private investors, but now for me it's clear.
Yes, we already have. Yeah.
Yeah, so well, I think no, because I have seen that sometimes you need regulations, so it's kind of like a legal framework to protect these experiences to continue. Like if the government decides something different, you know, it's a lot about into politics sometimes. So this was.
You're absolutely right, but because this is not a property of the government, it doesn't belong to the city or to the national government. It actually is a shared joint venture by design. So this international competition, for example, it was organized and paid by the independent sector. So different actors chipped in different things in the process. I hope that this pandemic situation is going to be over sometime soon, and you'll be able to come and see and meet the people directly, so you'll get better impressions here.
We are looking forward to meet physically.